Attention wrestling fans, you're in the blast zone for the only podcast where we blow kayfabe wide open and let you know what it really takes to become a professional wrestler. Presented by America's Academy of Professional Wrestling, this is the Buckle Bomb, and you're about to get blown up.
Welcome back, wrestling fans. This is the Buckle Bomb, the only podcast where we blow kayfabe wide open and let you know exactly what it takes to become a professional wrestler. I'm your host, Buck Bomber, and we are in the bomb shelter with Michael Arrow.
Yeah!
That's kind of loud. And ducking and covering with us also is Oli Summers.
I'm scared for my life.
All right. So, how you guys doing?
I am terrific. It's a nice bomb shelter you have in here. How are you doing, Ollie?
I'm good, man. I'm sweaty. It's hot.
I'm sweaty.
Nice. So, why don't you introduce yourself, Michael?
Hello, my name is Michael Arrow, AAPW graduate, one-time tag team holder, and one-time social media heavyweight television champion.
And what about you, Ollie?
I am Oli Summers. I am 1/3 of Culture Shock. First and foremost, I'm the flower child. I have won a lot of belts. Period.
Nice.
Yeah, I got the social media belt. I got the white belt that changes names every week, and I got the tag team belts once as well. I'm also a graduate.
Nice. Good job. How long have you been doing the whole wrestling thing?
So I started late 2019, started training here, and then the pandemic happened and everything shut down for a while. So late 2020, early 2021. I think I graduated in 2021. So I always say a year in, even though that's not necessarily true. I've been training more than that, but trying to get bookings and try to get out there.
Absolutely.
Freshly a year in. And doing that. What about you, Mr. Ollie?
Oh, I started training in July 2020, and I debuted in January 2021. So I say I'm about a year and a half in, something like that. Just doing the thing, going out places in Texas, trying to branch out and everything like that. Just working wherever I can.
Moving on to this week's topic. Have you guys ever been scared? Have you ever felt fear?
I just watched this movie Men. It's by Alex Garland. It was creepy in a lot of ways that I can't say on this show that we can't curse on. But it's freaky, and I would recommend it as long as you're not opposed to like body horror.
So, okay, outside of movies, have you ever been scared? Like maybe in a squared circle of sorts? With like some ropes. You ever been scared in there?
You know, it's hard because nowadays I don't really think so because I hate to use the word desensitized, but I've seen so much of it, and I've seen all the bad stuff, all the good stuff. So you really have like the stuff that's scary because someone is like legit like getting injured or just taking gnarly stuff, or you have like Kane. Dude, I actually stopped watching wrestling when I was like, what was it, like 03? I was like 8 years old when Kane took off his mask. I was petrified. He said JR on fire. I was pretty terrified then as a kid. And just legit stopped watching Raw because I didn't want to see Kane killing people.
Okay. So, instead, that's all very valid, but what about when you first started training to become a professional wrestler? Did anything scare you there? Did you ever feel fear?
So it was weird for me. I got put into the class, like, there was a class that started the month before me, and then some people that started, like, the beginning of the week. I started on a Friday. And so I feel like the point I was in, we didn't have, like, a dedicated beginner's class like we do now where they get in and they learn all the bumps and they learn how to run the ropes just, like, separately from everything. So I was in the same class as the people that were, like, close to graduating or had graduated and everything like that. So some days we were doing the basic stuff, But in like my second week, I was jumping off the top rope, taking a bump. So it was weird in that case because like stuff like that I did no problem. But like when you're told to do a face bump from standing, it's like, oh God, I'm falling on my face. What's happening? I think that's just a weird thing in wrestling in general is like there's just always the things, and it's different for everyone. Like some people can do those things where they jump off a huge ladder, but like getting their arm put a certain way terrifies them.
For sure. Everyone thinks differently. And going back, like, I think there's definitely a point in everyone's training where you're just thrown into something whether you're ready or not, whether it's another group or you're learning this move today. And that it by itself can be pretty scary, just doing something that you think you're not ready for, but you got to just turn the voice off and just do it. You can't be scared in a way, but it's something you can't avoid. There's always that one flip or one move that someone's too scared to take, but just gotta trust it.
Right, right.
I remember one class we were doing, the first time I learned spine busters, we were learning a bunch of stuff while that was happening, and like 3 people in a row like didn't do it properly, so the guy taking it bumped their head. And whoever was training that day was like, okay, y'all suck. We're going to do something really simple. And then Pops came in and was like, no, make them do spine busters. Just stop hitting your heads, doofuses. And it was like, okay, guys, stop hitting your heads, doofuses. And so then there was that fear of like, oh my God, I dropped someone silly and they hit the back of their head, which is the one thing you don't want in wrestling. And now they're just going to make me do it again. But I think that fear for the person you're in there with, the fear of like, I need to be as careful as possible so that I don't hurt this person, is sometimes that thing that like helps you do things more properly, because you're like, I have this person's life in my hands and I need to be careful or else.
So would you have any advice on how to get past that fear? How to become a fearless pro wrestler, a fearless worker?
As far as working with other people, just communicate and just talk through every little thing I can. There's been people I've been nervous about working with or whatever, but the only thing you could really do is communicate every little thing, whether especially on moves or spots or whatever. The more specific you can be, the better, because then there's no more questions and everyone knows how everything is supposed to be. As far as being scared to do something, to whether it's a move or a flip or whatever, just baby steps. That's what I've learned. Break it down, no matter what it is, and practice it every tiny baby step you can until you're jumping off whatever.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I definitely second it on the asking about moves. Like if you've never taken a move and your opponent's like, hey, I'm going to give you this spinning back flippity-doo-dah. Like if you've got time before the show, before the fans come in and you've got a ring, practice where your hands are going to go, practice where do I look? Yeah, where do I look? Where do I grab? How are you grabbing me? How is this position going to feel? You don't have to take the move per se, but like just feeling how it's going to be in the moment will help you, because it's that unfamiliarity. Like the less unknown something is, the less scary it's going to be. But I definitely still have fear over something. Like I don't do flips or anything. I can't do a moonsault. I don't even really do dives off the top or anything like that, just because like I can jump off the top onto like a mat, but as soon as you put a person there, then I think my body gets like oh no, what's going on here?
And the best thing, like if you're too scared to do something, just don't do it. It's not your thing. There's so much in wrestling that you can do. There's so many different tiny things you can become an expert at. There's so many different styles you could mix together. So if something doesn't feel right, then just don't do it. And it's just not feeling out. Find something else that feels out and works.
Yeah, don't be scared to like say no to someone. Like if they're saying, "Hey, I'm going to give you this move," and you don't know who they are, they haven't been working for that long. They're like, "I'm going to give you this move that you've never heard of." Like, I don't remember it. I think it was Matt Seidel's brother years ago. This dude gave him like a flipping Styles Clash off the top rope and broke his neck, like broke Mike Seidel's neck. And I know that he like was uncomfortable taking that, but he didn't like stand up for it enough and wasn't like, hey man, let's try something different. But I've definitely had times where like someone asked me if I could do a Spanish fly off the top once, and I was like, I don't think so, man. He's like, okay, cool, I'll just moonsault on you. I'm like, that's perfectly fine. I don't got to do anything in that case.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, like no one's going to think less of you for saying, hey man, I'm not comfortable taking that. I've never done that before. I haven't practiced that. Can we do something else?
They're going to think way less of you when you lie and say you can do it.
Absolutely.
Mess up the spot, ruin their thing, and then they come
hurt
back.
somebody or hurt them,
Yeah.
for sure.
For sure.
So, Pops always has this speech he gives. One of those speeches that we've heard about a million times now, where he talks about the office. He talks about where you go to work. Like an office, and he talks about how the ring should feel more like an office. Have you guys gotten to the point where the ring feels like a place where you're feeling kind of safe?
It's funny because I think everyone takes in that phrase differently. Because when he says that, I think of like the ring is my office. I need to get comfortable and situated in the ring, and every ring is different. Unlike an office, most of the time someone sits in the same office every day. But with that phrase in wrestling, I take it as every ring I need to be comfortable with. I need to check it out before the show, see if there's anything wrong with it. Maybe there's a freaking hole in the boards, or maybe the ropes are droopy and not tight, or maybe one of the posts is kind of sketchy. So, or maybe it's a great ring and you can do all your flippy stuff, all your Ollie flippy boy stuff off the ropes.
Okay. I always took it as just becoming comfortable with wrestling in general. That's how I always took it. But that's one way to take it. You definitely gotta, when you're out there, you definitely have to check on rings.
There's that point too where wrestling is your job, and you should be able to wrestle. You should be able to no hold or no spots, or or cut a promo. Everything within the ropes, you should be able to pull off.
Right.
Well, right. If that's your job, that's your office.
I think that's a big fear thing. Even like past the doing flips or taking whatever bump, I think a big thing people are scared about is just having a mic in front of them.
For sure.
Like I was a theater kid, so like just getting in front of people and talking for a minute or so like never really bothered me when I came here. But like I think people really need to focus sometimes on just like well-rounding themselves, and that's part of like being comfortable in wrestling is like you can't be like the complete package with it if you're just like lax on these other aspects because you can do cool stuff, or because you don't really think about it because you're just like a silent like beat 'em up type. You can't.
Right.
You gotta like practice every part of it and get comfortable overall.
There's definitely people who have gotten to the big leagues with going around that hurdle of not having the mic. But like you said, I think the complete package is definitely being comfortable on the microphone and getting the people to cheer or boo you. And that's something I was really scared of going into wrestling. I feel kind of comfortable talking in front of large groups of people, like at school or whatever. Like it was never a big problem for me. But with wrestling, fitting a character, I didn't know how to expand my character at first, especially as a face, and I didn't know what to say in my promos. I didn't feel very strong in, but as I turned heel, I mean, it is a little easier to antagonize the crowd, but I feel through that route, I did feel more comfortable saying whatever to a crowd, and I've done shows where the promoter just says, hey, go rile them up. Here's a microphone. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to say. But you just go out there and just, it's awesome. You get paid to just talk negatively to everyone you see. And just to get that response. I mean, never mind. But yeah,
No, we can talk about it. We can talk.
I mean,
about it.
Local AAPW wrestler Greenback has great experience with
Yes.
that. I don't know if you've ever met him.
I've heard about him. I've just never been in the same room at the same time.
I hate to put over the evil Greenback, but I admire that he is always the Heat, like, ever since I guess the 90s where they had your cool heels, like, you don't really see like heat like, you know, back in the territories they would slash your tires and stab you, and like Greenback like has that tension that I don't really see anymore with the audience. Like, I feel like they really just want to hit this guy.
Like someone, I remember when T-Ray was being managed by Greenback, he would come out and people would be like, "Oh, that's a cool looking guy. That's awesome." And then Greenback would like come out right behind him. They're like, "What? No, I refuse. This is awful."
That's it. That's all you need. It's just the figure. You're the Heenan. That's all you needed in the 80s. As soon as Andre aligned with Heenan, everyone was just mortified.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so definitely like you can have help like getting over that kind of fear in those areas. Is like there are ways to make up for it, but I think people shouldn't like rest on that.
You know what's funny is I was about to go the other way with it. Like,
yeah,
you can totally be an amazing wrestler and not be able to cut a promo and whatever. They give you a manager, but that's exactly what I was going to go to. You can have someone who doesn't know how to wrestle, and all they do is talk. And sometimes I would sit there and think, I'm like, Bobby Heenan, all these big managers, I'm sure they had backstage roles and stuff too, but they got paid big money just to talk on TV for a wrestler. I mean, and if you're so strong at one aspect of it, it is possible to be successful in the business just writing that.
Right.
But of course, you know, most people want to be well-rounded and be able to do anything and everything.
for sure.
I forget who told me this, and he probably heard it from somebody else, but I've always heard there's like 3 pillars of being, you know, a worker. You know, it's look, technique, and voice. And I've always been told try to have 2 of those.
That's fair.
That's not bad at all.
So did you guys play any sports before you were pro wrestlers?
I played lots of sports. I played almost every sport.
I know you were a runner.
So when I was a wee lad, when I was like 5 years old, as soon as I was able to like go in, my parents put me in soccer. I played soccer and football from like age 5 to like 15. And then once I got into high school, I flirted with like other sports like basketball, baseball. I didn't really get into those. I also was really into skateboarding on the side. And but then like sports, football, soccer, and then going into high school, I played lacrosse. And I went into it my 8th grade, was my first year of lacrosse, and then played all the way through high school. My senior year, we were so close going to the state, but we just didn't make it. But then while I was doing lacrosse, I was doing cross country and running track here or there. And then after high school, I got really back into skateboarding for a few years. I was going to the skate park like every day. And then not too long after that, I found myself here. Also, I just remembered I did do gymnastics when I was a kid. My mom's side of the family were all gymnasts. My mom, grandma, and my great-grandfather was a coach at Michigan State for a long time. So I now try to go to them, and I'm showing them all these flips and moonsaults and stuff. And my grandma was like, "Oh, that's a full," like whatever the gymnast term of what they're doing is. So, yeah. What about you? You do any sports?
No, I was a theater kid in like middle and high school. So I did that. Although my first day, not my first day, but like my first year of doing high school theater, when you're just in like the, you know, everyone can do it theater class, I did a improv scene where I did a flip bump onto the concrete. So that was stupid.
Yeah.
But like when I was young, I was like riding bikes all the time. I had a pair of skates, but I never did anything like competitive. Just because like whenever it was time to go for like football tryouts or basketball tryouts, I wasn't good at doing like the little the little drills that they wanted you to do to see if you could do it. Like, I could play decently, but not like organized, you know? And then, I don't know, I tried to skateboard once in college and broke both my arms.
That's awesome.
It's not.
Oh, is that how that happened?
That's how that happened, yeah.
Wow. And that was the catalyst for you becoming for you starting your training, isn't it?
Kind of, like I had known that I wanted to do wrestling since I was in like middle school when I first started getting into it. Like, there was nothing else that I was like, oh, this would be a fun thing to do for the rest of my life. But like, after I got my surgery on my wrist, and so both my arms were in slings and I couldn't move anything, I was like, if these get better, I should join a wrestling school. So I know graduate of AAPW, Ethan Price, via his brother. So I messaged him on Instagram and was like, hey, where'd you train at? And he's like, oh, this place or this place. And I was like, okay, cool. So I graduated college, and then like 2 months later, signed up for AAPW.
Nice. So anyway, the reason I ask about your sports backgrounds is a lot of people come into professional wrestling without ever having been in like a contact sport, and I think that's another fear-related hurdle that some people got to get over. In the beginning, do you recall that at all?
So this is where I disagree sometimes with what people say here, because like a lot of stuff that people do improperly or like if they mess up a spot or they mess up a move that they're learning for the first time, it normally gets chalked up to fear. And I don't really think that it's always fear. I think like my personal experience was just that my body isn't very good at seeing things and then just doing them. It needs like information being fed in pretty specifically. Like, I specifically remember I was going with you. We were doing suplexes from the apron to the inside. And I was messing up both giving and taking it. And every time I messed it up, I was just being told, that's bad, that's terrible, why can't you do this, that kind of stuff. And then Adam walks by like for half a second and he goes, Ollie, tuck in your knees. And then just walks away. And so I tuck in my knees and I take it properly. And he's like, there it is. It's like, yeah, I was just told how to do it.
Yeah. Everyone takes in.
So, yeah, I just think, and I've seen it a lot from people here where it's like they're doing something improperly. And I can tell just by the way that it's happening that it's not like they're afraid to do it. It's just some people are slower. Some people, they don't take to it as easily. And I think that definitely does have to do with the sports background type deal. Like, I think the people that have that experience of falling a certain way or moving a certain way, definitely their bodies are more used to being malleable, being flexible with that. And maybe some people that haven't done that are at a disadvantage at that point, and they take a little while longer to get used to it.
Fair enough. And I can attest, a lack of coordination or reaction time is definitely a thing. But never in your training were you ever afraid to like punch somebody?
No, I was told it would be safe.
I was been afraid to get punched. We were learning punches, and I'm not going to say who, but someone's just being a little stiff, and I'm just waiting for Pops or someone to walk by and see this guy punching me in the head.
I don't think there's anyone here that I've personally like been in with that I'm like, I don't want to go with this person because I think they're going to hurt me or anything like that. Being told, hey, this is going to be safe, even if my body originally doesn't trust it, I think mentally I'm like, okay, I've got to get past this hurdle of like, this is new, this is different. Like, taking a back bump from the second rope for the first time is like, okay, this is weird. But when you do it, when you finally get past that hurdle the first time, it's like, oh my God, okay, let me do this again right now because that was cool and I did it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't know necessarily if that's so much fear as like just the unknown and the newness of it, just getting used to it.
Right.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of things that I was like specifically scared to do. One thing that actually I was really nervous about doing is getting clotheslined over the top rope from inside the ring to out. And once I do it, like, I'm like, oh, it wasn't that bad. If you do what you're told to do, put your hand up on the apron and push your body away. But like we were saying before, everyone takes in information differently. And I think I'm very much, I see it and then I can try to do it. And other people aren't that way, and they got to feel it out or baby step into it, or visual or audio learners or whatever. And I think that's what you were saying before, is that's one big hurdle that everyone has, trying to digest all the information that's being shoved down really quickly. And not to mention the stakes that, your life and other people's lives are in your hands for sure. And I think it can be overwhelming and fearful to people walking into everything and feeling all the pressure. And I think I've seen a lot of beginners, maybe overwhelmed is the right word, when they're doing something and they don't quite understand how to do it, but you're always just kind of pushed in because that's the only way to get in, really.
Okay.
So just stay calm and try to listen, ask questions, and just go for it. Try to have confidence, because if you don't, then everything's just going to fall apart.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. So, okay, it's time for ABP. Always be plugging. Michael, do you have anything coming up?
Yo, this weekend, AAPW, I'll be here.
So actually, give us for like a week in the future, because this is coming out next Monday.
I don't think I have.
Well, just for the listeners at home, if it's Saturday, there's probably an AAPW show. If there's an AAPW show, Michael Arrows is probably in it.
Check out official Arrow on Instagram.
Yeah. All right, Ollie?
June 10th, I have Infamous Wrestling in Austin. June 11th, I have 2 shows in Uvalde for Next Level Wrestling. June 12th, that's a Sunday, I have New Breed Wrestling in McAllen. I've probably got some other stuff in June. I think we're going to Oklahoma maybe in middle of July if we can get our licenses. And then, yeah.
Wait, what licenses?
Oklahoma's one of the states where you have to have a wrestling license to be a pro wrestler.
Wow.
And we messaged the people that go to that show a lot, like, hey, like, I know they say you got to have a license, but, like, do they show up? And they were like, yeah, they show up to every show and they check people's licenses. It was like, okay. So you have to get, like, a physical, you have to get blood work done, you have to pay, like, a $30 fee, and you got to, like, send it to the state of Oklahoma.
Is there like a test you have to take, like a driver's test, but for wrestling?
No, like you got to take a physical and you got to take blood work, so that I think it's for like a liability thing, so that if you blow up during a match, not in the tired way, then they're like, okay, you have pre-existing conditions.
Like in the buckle bomb way.
Yeah, like you didn't get into the bomb shelter in time way.
Okay. So are you the member of Culture Shock that remembers the dates? Because last week, Danny remembered what, but not when.
Brother, I forgot the date of my next Level show while I was doing a promo promoting the new Next Level show at Next Level on this previous Saturday.
Oh, wow.
I just prepared for this because I listened to Danny forget the dates.
Hey, I don't remember any of my bookings.
See, I have this strategy where I don't get booked very often, so it's really easy to remember.
Oh, Party World Wrestling, June 18th. It's a Saturday, Austin, Texas.
Nice. You doing Party World now?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I was a mummy last time and a fish.
Oh, yeah.
I was a fish.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
You're a fish.
You're a shark.
I was a shark fish.
Shark or fish?
Yeah, shark is a fish.
I was a megalodon.
He's a megalodon.
Hey, do you guys remember, what was that movie? Which Jaws is the one where they blew up the shark?
I've seen Jaws 1 once.
It was Jaws 1?
I've seen it once and I was pretty sleepy.
They blew up the shark?
That movie's so long.
I think I was playing League of Legends while I was watching Jaws.
Man, so that shark is like a Buckle Bomb listener, because this has been the Buckle Bomb and you have been blown up.